he knows I'm in the way of your camera.
This is the crew, right?
Crew. Make them work hard for change.
Yeah. Yeah, really, no?
Hey, I was at a Zoom.
I'm looking at names as if you recognize them.
I'm retired now, so I'm starting to just go to Seattle.
So we got to ring.
4 years.
4 years.
From the 5th grade to the 8th. And then I went to the academy.
So he's our guest now. He's not part of the graduating class, so I'm part of the team.
Yeah, I went to school there.
Yeah. You see you, Vladimir? Do you live here?
Pardon me?
You live out in Santa Fe?
No, I live in Chile. So you like this to relax? And you like it with
And everything's working.
Yeah. Yeah. We got it working. Huh? Nothing, just got it working.
Yes, this is the center.
Peter? Are you going to be Santa Claus this year? Are you going to be Santa Claus this year?
we'll have Mass at 11 o'clock, right, Enrique?
Yes.
Yeah, 11 o'clock at the Cathedral. And then from there, we'll walk down to the plaza and meet at the Thunderbird Cafe for lunch. So at this time, I'd like to ask Godfrey if he would like to come up and make a few comments. It's really nice to see Brother Godfrey It was lunch. We were out to lunch. John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy, had been assassinated. We're all walking back in. Brother Godfrey was at the door, tears streaming down his eye, and he said, "Get to your classroom immediately. There's an announcement that's going to be made." And that's just one of those lasting memories. It's really a pleasure to have you, Godfrey, here, and thank you very much. And if you'd like to say a few comments.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh.
So I haven't seen everybody here, but I've met a lot of you many, many years ago, but it seems like only yesterday. I was taken out of St. Michael's College when it was then. I was a scholastic and young monk. One of the brothers had a breakdown, God knows from what, and I was there to take 24 hours at St. Mike's and teach here at St. Michael's High School. So I came here, in 1954, 59, came here to live. And while I was thrown out of the brothers, sorry to say, I had final vows. I'm not a brother anymore, but a brother is me. So all of you know me as Brother Godfrey, and I have many names, some of which are not too nice. So it's lovely to see you guys. I'm glad I came. It's always a treat. I recognize a lot of the faces. We all look older, but always the same. So thank you. It's a pleasure to know you.
Hey.
And to be at St. Mike's blew my mind. Thank you.
So Enrique, if you don't mind coming up and giving us a blessing. Enrique is a deacon, and he has served Mass for us the last several reunions. He also coordinated the Mass at the Cathedral, and will be serving Mass for us at that time as well. And Enrique asked if he could have a few extra minutes after the blessing. He has some memories he'd like to share with us. So, Enrique, would you go ahead?
Let's do a rosary first. Good evening to all my brothers here this evening and sisters. Thank you, Brother Godfrey, for being with us here today. I told Brother Godfrey that I had the opportunity about 5-6 years ago to inter Brother Benedict. Amazing. I didn't realize who he was until I got to the North Rosario, and I realized it was him. You know, now that you're here, Brother Godfrey, now it's time to pay the piper. You know, there's a story about a waiter who approached a table celebrating their grandchildren who had graduated from college. And the father says, "Our son graduated from UNM with an English degree." And the Reverend replies, "Oh, that's so great. Congratulations. I actually have a master's degree in English literature. Can I get you folks started with some chips and salsa?" Well, 3 score and
15 years ago, to the surprise of our Christian brothers, and probably the relief of our families, he walked across the stage of our beloved gym. A few years later, Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. Now, days that we find ourselves just struggling to cross the moon. The Beatles came to America. Cassius Clay changed his name to Muhammad Ali. Gas was 30 cents a gallon. A movie ticket was $1.25. And free if you could fit into the trunk.
I did that.
The circle of life seems to spin faster and faster each year. We hear that time flies when you're having fun. Otherwise, you take the bus. But here we are again, to receive ourselves into the bonds that we forged as far back as St. Francis and within Troop 28. There's two of us here. Harold, too. We're Boy Scouts. And we gave our Lord thanks for the chance to renew our friendship, to reminisce now about old times, to complain about our ailments. I can't hear too good anymore. And to brag about our grandkids, and to make up some stories. After graduation, some of us went further on to education. Some of us went on to go to work. Some of us went to fight a war. And the rest of us went and built a pot. Went to pot. We are a class that never forgot. You burros! As Brother Abdelman would say when he learned that in November, that day when President Kennedy was assassinated. We also cherish the memories about decorating for prom, dances, basketball with the likes of Bimbo, Chopper, Spider, Sam, Tommy Vigil, Connie Trujillo, Steve Arias, and the 7-foot giant who were the biting midgets. I remember one time I was at St. Anne's and I was passing out bulletins and I had my head down and I see these big feet just coming across and I'm going, oh, that would be size 45. It was reported by Coach Mr. Magoni that they were the toughest team saw, who just ran and pressed like no one they played. But they didn't exactly strike you as a typical basketball players. Some of these guys, their shooting style was like something you find from a guy off the dirt street. Their coach, Mr. Shelley, the man was a genius. Games against our nemesis, the demons, who, by the way, are still getting their lashings. My wife was a demon. No. Oh, but now she's a saint. Oh, Oh, another demon. Whenever there's a game, my wife sits across the other side. And I sit on this side.
I'm sure you do.
When things aren't going right for us, I just say, okay, I think how we do. We enjoy football games with the likes of the freight train, David Fernandez. We went cruising to the plaza on Friday nights. Our senior retreat at the Benedictine Monastery. We survived our mistakes and learned important life from our Christian brothers. And we're forever grateful that we grew up before cell phones and social media.
That's right.
Where everything would be recorded about our before-mentioned activities that should only be heard in the confessional. We remember the thrill of getting a driver's license, driving up and down Pecos Drive, or is it all Santa Fe Trail? Picking up our class rings. We were anxious to share it with our steady that she wore around her neck. We also know that there were some immature, cruel, and unkind ways that we treated some of our Christian brothers. However, quickly straightened out by Brother Abdomen. We didn't mess with that guy. Now, many of us are now matriarchs and patriarchs of our families. We embrace that role to celebrate the freedom that comes from retirement rather than from our spouses. But if at first you don't succeed, gentlemen, try again and do it your wife's way. We are no longer responsible to bosses or our careers. We have more time to do good in small and large ways, to commit our random acts of kindness wherever we are. And also remember, one can only eat so much fish. We graduated from St. Mike's, but we are still students of life and mentors to those who walk behind us. Many of us are on the board. We have walked many miles in these past 60 years. But as a family, we aren't done yet. Hopefully we can survive one more score of years, but we know that we have this one to rejoice and laugh together over the things that we took too seriously back then, and then including ourselves. This coming Sunday, we want to pause and remember our classmates who have graduated into the higher education realm of eternity. We'll pray for God's blessing on them and on those who are unable to be with us tonight for whatever reason. We give thanks to Sam and his committee who gave us an opportunity to once again meet and organize this reunion. To give thanks for our hors d'oeuvres that we have been slam dunking, and our Father blessing upon them. So as so, brothers and sisters, let's party on. Amen.
That's all right. I'm just.
Okay, sorry.
Come over here with me, Maurice. Oh, then make it. Well, how do we do this? Can you get?
Get over here.
Get over here.
Well, I don't know here. Come over here with me, Maurice. Oh, then make it. Well, how do we do this? Can you get?
Get over here.
Get over here.
Well, I don't know here.
This is the dinner.
If I like somebody's Diane, I would start writing Diane.
Where was separate those. We're going to segregate.
This is the dinner.
If I like somebody's Diane, I would start writing Diane.
That was in the movie with Demi Moore.
Blue eye contact? No, they were real.
Come on.
said that she had she wants to be where
There it is.
everyone around him is disgusting.
I was a photographer, so I took a lot of photographs. My brother Francis, he was in charge of the newspaper printing. I did all that, and I just sort of helped out a little bit. After my sophomore year in high school, parents realized that I needed to get out of that school and do school because I was having to go to
Say hi to everybody. How you guys doing? Was the food good or good? It was. There you go.
They're gonna put me in the movies. They're gonna make a star out of me. Oh my God.
you thanks for your overflowing generosity to these your children of the 1964 graduation. We thank you for the blessings of the food that we will receive, and especially the celebration today as we all gather together. Thank you for our home, thank you for our families, thank you for our friends, especially for the presence of everybody that is gathered here. Please send help to those who are hungry, alone, sick, and suffering, and those who are suffering of violence and who are hungry alone. Open our hearts to your love. We ask your blessings through Christ your Lord. And bless us, O Lord, and these thy gifts which we are about to receive, in the body of Christ our Lord. Amen. Deacon gets served first.
Chin. There we go.
During the PE class. And of course, everybody remembers Coach Abreu.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we didn't get along. I was basically taking over his job with the freshmen, telling him what to do, when to run, when to stop, etc. Well, one time, we were running around the field, and I went all the way around, and then he calls me over. Enrique, this is Coach. You cut halfway through the field. And I said, no, Coach, I went all the way around. Oh, you didn't. Whack. No. Down I went. I was out for 3, 4, 5 seconds before I was able up again. And I was just waiting to get back to tell my family, my brothers, what this coach did. Physically attacked me like that. I never did. I never told anybody till night. So I suffered on your behalf. Who else has a story to tell? Come on up.
I'm George Avery, class 64, photographer. Yeah, I'm a photographer. So I just have a couple of stories. I'll follow on Coach Abreu. Coach Abreu was a coach and also a history teacher. And he wasn't really too sharp on history. It was back in the days when history was kind of like, you add that in with everything else. We'd go in his class and he would just say, open the book, chapter 17, answer the questions in the back of the book, had them at the end of the day. And that was it. But Coach Abreu had a way of controlling his class. In the front of his class, he had a hat hanging from in a pair against in front of the blackboard. He wasn't going to need it. And it had holes punched in it. It said, Board of Education. And every once in a while, somebody was unfortunate enough in class to go before him and have to bend over and take one for the team. I did once. That was enough for me. From then on, I wasn't going to make any problems in class. Some of you may have had that experience. But anyway, that's a fond memory from Coach Abreu. Mr. Gamachet was our English teacher. And Mr. Gamachet did a good job teaching English because you can tell I still speak fairly good English. Anyway, so he didn't like people not paying attention in his class at all. He wanted people to stay completely focused on him, but he was
deadly.
I'll let you finish your call first. So he didn't like people messing around his class or not paying attention. So if he would be in his class and he would look down at his students, and if there was maybe a student sleeping or a student that wasn't paying attention, was talking to another student, he had a little drill that he would use. And his drill was this: he would go up to the blackboard. He'd walk up to the blackboard, and he'd take a eraser from in front of the blackboard, and he'd walk over to the class, and he'd look at that student, and then he'd take the pictures pose. And he'd look at that kid, and then he'd turn sideways, step on the rubber, and then he'd wind up and throw it as hard as he could at that kid. He was a pretty good shot. He got it most of the time. One time, there was a boy there with his head down. He was trying to catch up on a couple of nights, a little extra sleep, because, of course, he stays up at night doing his homework. Anyway, he was dozing off, sleeping in class, had his head down. So Mr. Gamache goes through the motions, goes up to the blackboard, gets his eraser, approaches the pitcher's mound, steps on the rubber, gives him a good look, looks at first, then he looks back at the plate, winds up and throws as hard as he can. He's a little high. The kid right behind him gets it right back. And by then it's like, everybody's like this, like, we don't have anything in our reference books about how this is supposed to be treated, because teachers usually don't hit the wrong people with an eraser. So what do we do next? Well, the kid didn't even wake up. He didn't move. The whole incident, he missed the whole thing. So Mr. Gamache quietly walked down the hall. Sorry about that. Hand the eraser, take it back to the mound, look again, step on the rubber, check first, and again, there he goes. Whoa, bang! Kid gets a hit right in the head. Looks up, what? That's my little story.
This is the St. Michael's story. And most of you, even if you were at St. Michael's in 1962 springtime, don't remember. Brother Alfred was our biology teacher. And I found out that you could get out of going to class if you did a science fair project. Wow. So I always did science fair projects, and this one was on the skeletal system. So I had done various things about skeletons. And we'd been dissecting poor hapless creatures that year, and we had a shark about this big. And we had finished cutting his guts out and looking at his muscles and doing all that. And I said, brother, can I have that shark? I boiled down that shark so I can get his cartilaginous skeleton to put with my other skeletons. He said, sure. So I went over to the dining hall and I got a big pot of water and put it on top of a Bunsen burner and started to boil the flesh off the shark. So it was going on just fine, and I was taking care of it and making sure everything happened. And then we came to spring break. I did turn off the Bunsen burner, but I left the shark in the water. And you guys don't remember it because you weren't allowed in school. The brother walked into school that morning. Brother Benedict walked. John gets called to Brother Benedict's office, but I walked in. He came out, got me, said, you need to remove that from upstairs in the lab. And you can bury it over there, actually, where the cemetery used to be. Football, baseball, football. So it was the nastiest thing in the whole world. The brothers had gone in and opened all the windows in the school. I spent some time getting in trouble and following up on Avery's story with Coach Abreu. We were called over to the gym to get swabs sometimes. And so I went over to the office there, and I was in line with 3 or 4 other miscreants. And he would hit, and it would sting, and you'd get tears in your eyes from the sting. So I was about 3rd in line, and I go in and swat. And I came out and I didn't have tears in my eyes. And I said, it didn't sting. I said, it really hurt, but it didn't sting. So I pulled down my pants, and there was a line of blood. Because he hit me with the edge of the paddle. And a Braille walked out and saw that, and I think he saw his life flash in front of him. And I could do anything I wanted the rest of the
Well, it's kind of the same my story too. Okay, so it all started when I had to leave Cristo Rey School and go to Loretto. And it meant I had to leave the first love of my life, Manny Trujillo. Because he was going to go to St. Mike's and I was going to Loretto. So when I entered Loretto, I was heartsick. But I decided that what I needed was to be able to express my talents and join the Glee Club. So I met with Sister Marion Charles. Was anybody else in the Glee Club? At time, Marion Thomas, Sister Marion Thomas. And she said, oh, by all means, Marquita, we would love to have you in the Glee Club. So the first practice we had, she lined us all up, and she said, Marquita, I want you right in the middle, right there in the back. And she lined everybody up, and we went through one little song, and then she came over and she said, Marquita, we wanted you in the Glee Club because you're tall, and it looks good in the back, but you have to mouth the words. So I was heartbroken again. So I somehow or other ended up meeting Rose Fidel at St. Mike's. And I thought, here's what I can do. I can do drama. I can be in thespians. So I asked Rose, I said, is there any possibility that we're ever going to do a musical? And Rose said, we'll never do an effing musical. Oh, okay, so when I tried out those words at home, it didn't go well. But I ran into the best part of being in thespians, and it was the four, let's see, I've had 5 Johns in my life. That didn't come out right. Okay. That's not the way I meant it. They are, okay, 5 Johns, but 4 of them were from St. Mike's. John Balling, John Pound, John Dressman, and John Conopac took me under their wing, and they taught me how to be a good thespian. I got oriented to thespians, and it was great. And Rose Fidel taught me probably the most important lesson I've had in my entire life, and that's how to get the best out of anybody. And it was so valuable to me. She was absolutely wonderful. Oh, I said 5 Johns. John Anthony George. I met him at the end of nursing school for 57 years. He's kept me in line.
There's so many stories. Two of them broke out for some reason tonight. One day, and I don't remember the reason, John Balling and I were sent on some errand. That usually was a reward for being a good student. Brother would say, I need something done outside the classroom, you 2 guys go. Apparently we had been pretty good that day or something. So I remember that we went into the boys' bathroom upstairs, to go to the bathroom, and John, where is John? Where are you sitting? Okay. I don't know if you remember this or not. John Balling says to me, he pulls a cherry bomb out of his and he says, you know what? He says, you know what, John? You can light one of these, put it in the toilet and flush it, and it will still go off. I said, well, no, it's water. Put the fuse out. I said, oh, yes, it will. I said, no, it won't. Well, let's try it. It's one way to find out, isn't it? So we light the cherry bomb. You remember those toilets? They had the chains. I mean, it was really old place. We lit the cherry bomb. It had a kind of a green fuse on it, as I recall. It was a red, looked like a cherry. And the fuse was sort of slow, but it was going. We tossed it in the toilet. One of us pulls the chain and flushes the toilet. Don't watch it. Watch it go down. You know, you know, it looked like I won, you know, I mean, so.
Nothing happened.
Right, yeah, so we leave, and I think we were, I don't know why I think we were upstairs, but I do. We go downstairs to go back to our classroom. I heard nothing happen, but we're going past a classroom, and they had these big wooden doors, but big glass window in each door. You could see into the classroom. And it was like a World War II submarine. Like when they're getting depth charge, and the water's coming up because there are exposed pipes beneath the ceilings in those rooms. You know, I mean, it was a mystery around the school. What the hell happened? Two of us knew. And as you might imagine, neither one of us ever said a damn word. Until tonight. Statute of limitations. The other thing that for a reason I can't explain, I was remembering, was one day when we were sophomores, our home room teacher, the guy we reported to each morning and also taught us religion, was Brother Abel. And I think it was sophomores, I'm pretty sure about this. And we had a religion test one day. And so we were all taking the exam, and Brother Abden would walk up, you know, he'd walk up and down the aisle, kind of look at us, you know, make sure no one's cheating and stuff. And at one point, he was right across from a guy who was a very studious guy, a serious student. His name was David Cordova. And he goes to, he looks at Cordova. And Cordova has like a, you know, pocket protector, pens. He's that kind of guy. He's serious. He's doing his revision exam. And Brother Abden, I somehow noticed that he stopped, and I glanced at him. And Cordova didn't even see him there. He's just doing his exam, and Brother Abden goes, wham! And just knocks him right off his chair, onto the floor. His pens came out of his pocket protector, and Cordova looks at him and says, what'd you hit me for? And Brother Abden says, that's for the time you got away with it. That's the good. Last thing I'll say. George's story about the paddle reminds me of Brother Ernest, was it? Who he and
Algebra.
Huh?
Algebra.
Yeah, but who was the guy who was in charge of the paddle?
Alfred?
No, the student. He had a student.
Crocker.
Ed Crocker. Oh, it wasn't a paddle, it was a shoe. It was Nick Pino's basketball shoe. Nick Pino was 7 feet tall, and his basketball shoe was about that big. It was kept by Crocker at Alfred's instruction in a locker right outside our classroom. If anyone really misbehaved, the dreaded words were, Crocker, get the shoe.
Here's the key, go get the shoe.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. And the guy would have to bend over at the, right, and very humiliating. I mean, he'd bend over and get slammed in his butt with that shoe by Brother Alfred. Anyway, one day when we were, I think, seniors, it was Santa Fe High St. Mike's Exchange Day. Do you remember that? We would have that. Some guys from St. Mike's would go to Santa Fe High for the day. Some guys from Santa Fe High would come to St. Mike's for the day. One of the Santa Fe High guys in our class was Duncan McGill. And everybody in Santa Fe knew about Brother Alfred and his shoe. This was well known. Alfred comes into class and takes roll. And we're all dressed the way McGilchrist's there in a coat and tie, because he's from Santa Fe High. And Alfred's taking it all. I mean, he goes through the whole roll, and he looks up and sees McGilchrist. He was a very sarcastic kind of guy. Alfred. He said, "Who are you?" And Duncan says, "Well, my name is," this is like in April, you know, and Duncan says, "My name is Duncan McGill." He says, "Well, I've never heard of you before. I've never, you know, we're 3/4 through the year." And he says, "Well, I go to Santa Fe High, brother." Alfred says, "This is St. Mike." Duncan, he's Scot, I'm Irish. We turn red easy, you know. So Duncan's getting pretty red. And at that point, Alfred says, "Crocker, get the shoe." He's gonna hit a Santa Fe High guy. And then, of course, he didn't do it. But anyway, the final thing I want to say, then I will leave and shut up. I won't leave, but I'll shut up. Seriously now, I really wish Louis Mackel were here.
Yeah.
Over here, we had the Burger Street auction. There was the Burger Street boys on that Burger Street. We were the Burger Street. Ernie Garcia, Peter Gomez, Maurice Banal, Art Banal, and Rainy Ortiz. The Burger Street boys. All 5 of us. And we were cruising down Galisteo Street one day. And my dad had a yellow pickup. And all of us were, you know, squeezing this yellow pickup, coming from Burger Street and going down to the plaza. Well, we were coming down Galisteo Street, and we passed by this house where Diana and Frida lived. And just up from where they lived, we saw this Kool-Aid stand. And who's behind the Kool-Aid stand? Diana and Frida. And were you there?
Edna and Bobby.
Edna and Bobby. Yeah.
What were they doing there?
Selling Kool-Aid.
Selling Kool-Aid.
Well, they were raising money. They were raising money. And we said, well, what's the occasion? Well, we're all going to walk to the Santuario this Friday. And Santuario, where in the heck is that? It's in Chimayo. So we didn't care, these beautiful gals here. So we stopped the truck and we give them their 10 cents to get the lemonade. And we all get together, the 5 of us, and said, wait a minute, why don't we go to Chimayo with them? So then the next thing that happened was that Ernie, Pete, where's Pete? Pete, we all.
Pete went to Santuario?
Yeah. Well, we started from his house. He lived on Old House Highway.
Right, yeah.
So Pete lived on Old House Highway. That's where we started.
Pete and
But it was a long way. It was a very long way. And of course, that's where I met Diana. And we all got together with Frida, and you were there.
I remember that.
Yeah. And we all walked to the Santuario. Well, what happened between Pete's house and the Santuario? A lot of things. One was we started drinking. And that is a no-no if you're going to walk 30 miles. So we get through this about halfway, and we stumbled a little bit, and we remember Rainey? And Ernie didn't take the whiskey too good. He slowed up a lot, and he slowed us up. So we all, you know, we finally get to almost to the Chimayo, to the Santuario, and the last straw is to come up this hill. You come up to the top, then the last quarter mile you go downhill to the Santuario. Well, Ernie didn't quite make it to the top. And there was a pinon tree. So we stuffed Ernie under the pinon tree. And the rest of us carried on. You know, we stumbled our way down. And we stumbled, the girls weren't, the guys were. So we stumbled our way down to the Santuario, and we get to the Chimayo, and then, who was it? I think Rainey. You said, well, where's Ernie? And I said, where's Ernie? we packed him back there. And he said, oh, I don't remember that. So, long story short, that's where I met Diana, and that's where we all had such a great time, you know. After that, we made it 10 times in a row.
Yeah. Wow, very good.
Only because, you know, in Spanish, there's a novena, that means 9 times. I did it one extra time in case we were too drunk one time. So we made up for it.
So I'm just going to give you a little postscript on that. We started out at midnight.
Yes.
On that track. Right. And we were going to do, and I noticed that people that were ahead of, you know, people that were walking were praying. Nobody in our group was praying. And so we kind of stuck out, and some people would say things to us, but we really didn't care. So it's interesting to hear the end of that story, because, and then I got to Stuckey's in, is it into Seguir or something? Milwaukee. Yeah, Milwaukee. And I called my folks and they came to pick us up. And we went home. We had, that's right. Yes, we did. Yes. We went that far.
Yeah, Frida and I did.
Yes.
That was fun. Yeah, from the Opera House.
And then something else that was said that reminded me of something, and it was something that John said about the exchange day with Santa Fe High. Well, I went to Santa Fe High for that exchange day. And at Loretto, there was structure, and there was, I don't think we were afraid of the nuns, but we basically, when I read those stories that came around with the guys in the throwing them out the second floor window and stuff like that. They were so funny. And I said, God, we were boring. There was no, I mean, nobody, well, it was more passive aggressive abuse that the nuns did. It wasn't physical, it was psychological abuse. But what was that? Doggone it, I can't remember his name, so I'm going to come back to that. But I do want to tell you about one sister in Loretto that I remember. I never forget her, and I think I might have told this story once before. Sister Sylvester, is that his name?
Yes. Oh, Sister Sylvester.
So Sister Sylvester. Sister Sylvester was a rather large lady.
Yes.
And we always, you know, and they had a, you know, if they wore a bib, you know, their habit. And, yeah, the bib. And we were in the study hall in the library. And I think all the seniors were there, and at least most of them, in the morning on Wednesdays. You guys went to Mass at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays. So we'd be at study hall, and, you know, she'd be proctoring, and she was scary. And if she'd get upset, she'd put her hands under her bill, under her boobs, and we always wondered if they had them. But at 10 o'clock, you know, at 10 o'clock, you guys were going to be walking by, and the pencil sharpeners were over by the windows. So everybody got up to sharpen their pencils. And she figured out what was going on. And those of you that were there are going to remember this, because she said, do you, and her voice would go down like The Exorcist, you know that?
Do you know what they call girls that wave at boys from windows? They call them prostitutes.
So on behalf of all 64, class of 64 prostitutes, we name
He's talked about Ernie Garcia. 2 weeks ago or so, Ernie, many of you know, he's been struggling with some health issues. And so he was not able to join us because he was scheduled for surgery this past week. So last week, I got a text message from him saying, Sam, I got really great news. I just had an MRI. The tumor they thought that was there disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good.
So he says, but I'm not feeling well enough to attend, so I'd like for you to share a few words on my behalf. So I promised him that I would do that. So he sent me a text message, and he says, hey, Brother Sam. Oh, sorry, that's about his appointment. Let me find that. Okay, yeah, so he says, I do have a story I would like for you to share about the football state playoff game that happened during my sophomore year. Dick Shelley was the head coach, and we went to play in southern New Mexico against Anthony Gadsden High School for the playoff game. It was David Fernandez, John Trujillo, Louis Mackel, and others who were on the team that year. We had won district, and we were down there to play for the regional championship. The game was close, but we lost. So Coach Shelley told us after the game that he was so proud of us because we had played hard, and it was a very close game, and he was very proud of us for such a great showing, and he was taking us to Juarez for the night. So he says, Brother Felix was driving the bus, and he parked it on the U.S. side of the border. When we got there, we were told by Coach Shelley, you got 1 hour to be back on the bus. So he says, we all ran as fast as we could, get across the border, and hit the first bar we could find. And he said, I heard somebody say, set him up. And he says, and we all sat there and drank, and then we managed to make it back to the bus on time. When I got home, I shared the story with my mom, and I told her how the trip had gone, and about the Juarez excursion, and how much fun we had had. I think she was very concerned, but she didn't ask me any more questions. And he said it was so much fun driving home because all we did was laugh and share stories, and they were all exaggerated. But we had such a great time. So that's from Ernie. Yeah, and I meet Kathy, and my first date with Kathy is a lunch meeting. And I said, so where'd you grow up? She said, well, I lived over at Casa Solana. And I said, oh, you live down there with all the rich kids. Yeah. And she says, so where did you grow up? And I said, well, you grew up in Casa Solana, and what did you think of those boys over by the Boys Club? And she said, we hated those guys. You know, they were mean, they were rough, they would beat us up. And she said, so she looks at me, she says, so where'd you grow up? I said, well, Kathy, I think I'm your worst nightmare. So I said, I'm one of those boys.
Juco.
So I was blessed to meet my wife, Kathy, because we've had a wonderful, marriage now for almost 40 years, and it's been a real pleasure, and she's been a blessing to me. Yeah, it's been, thank you.
Rebuttal. Yeah, it's not quite a rebuttal, but it came to mind when we were talking about brothers and motivation. You know how they motivated us. Everybody talked about getting slack and all that. But I remember it was the last week of our senior class, and Brother Alfonso, with his accent and what he said and the use of what he said, he stood up and he said, all of you guys are losers. And we looked at each other and said, all losers, in his accent, And he said, you'll never be anything in this world. He said, the only way you're going to be good is you marry it, you inherit it, or you steal it. You guys are all losers.
Wasn't as tight as it might have been. And with Gamachet, and why is it in the yearbook at F. Gamachet, whose name was Tom? I have not figured that out. But anyway, I wasn't doing terribly well in whatever English course that was with Gamachet. And he said, well, I'll give you a chance. Memorize this poem, and you'll get this grade. So what poem? It's a poem called The Destruction of Sennacherib by a fellow named Lord Byron. James Gordon, Lord Byron. I had to remember that. And so eventually I memorized this poem and I presented it to him. And that's that. I got whatever the grade up was so I passed, I think. But as it so happens, I go to college. I'm a speech major. I taught speech at St. Michael's for 9 years. And I wasn't any better student in college than I was in high school. But taking a speech course, and it's in interpretation of poetry. And I spent the weekend drinking. I didn't spend the weekend studying. And so I get to class, and I forgot totally about the homework that we had to do this. So I'm called upon first to recite a poem. I have not done it. So I get up there with my blank piece of paper. The destruction of Sennacherib. The Assyrian came down like a wolf upon the fold. His horns were all gleaming. And the sheen of his spears were like stars. Anyway, it saved me 2 times in high school and college.
And then for those of you who leave, we'll see you all tomorrow morning at the cathedral, and then we'll have lunch after. Oh, excuse me. Enrique would like to do a closing.
Did everybody get a book?
Did everybody get a book? Did everybody get a book?
Everybody get a book? Before we leave, Enrique would like to.
Nope. Is this cool? Got about, well, I got 15 minutes.
Yeah, Kathy told me.
I don't know. Do we know who we're going?
Somebody, the person in front of
Yeah, I know, but who are we following? Who's following them?
O powerful God, whose mercy is never withheld from those who call upon you in hope, look kindly of your servants who departed this life, confessing your name, and number them among your saints in heaven evermore. As I read their names, recall their faces. Gilbert Allard Aderdi. Pete Barros. Tom Bass. Peter Beasley. Art Banal. Bill Curtis. Jim Delgado. Richard Farley. Mary Ellen Frank. Elsie. Mary Elsie Frank. Heidi Gallery Gary. Joe Garcia. Bimbo. Louis Garcia. Patricia Gillis. Pete Gomez. J.C. Gomez. Jim Irwin. Jennifer Jones. Whoever the how many Jeanette Laragorte. Patricia Lujan. Elizabeth Mack. Louis Mack. Leroy Martin. Ben Montoya. Manny Morales. Xavier Ortiz. Maria Juarez. Robert Ramirez. Bill Roach. Elias Rosales.
Well, I said Christmas for
Bill Valdez.
For the nest. Forgotten that. Yes.
Mike Varela. Martha Ziner. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. You have protection against the whippers and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. Fill out princes of heavenly hosts. May the power of God cast into hell Satan and all the evil spirits all about the world, seeking the rule of souls.
I'll see you, guy.
Thank you. Great seeing all of you.
Hey.
Hasta luego.